will present his product today in front of you. Thank you.
Test. Hello everyone, how are you all?
Very good.
Good to hear. So, welcome to the presentation of our company, For Our Eyes, helping realize. We are a company that's aiming to help blind people live better and safer lives with more education and more business opportunities. And we're doing this by creating specific products for blind people to assist them in their lives. So, basically, our name, For Our Eyes, comes from one of my favorite songs, For Your Eyes. And helping realize is our slogan, and it's coming from the fact that we want to help these blind people, realize their true potential and what they're missing out on due to their impairment that sadly is there. So we want to help them live their lives in a better manner. So the story of this company basically started off with our school design products. So basically we have these design classes, and me and my best friend Aviral, who's my partner, we coincidentally decided to make products to assist blind people. And since this entrepreneurship business opportunity rolled around, we decided, hey, why not band together and aim to make a company for blind people. So we basically joined together and used his product and his design, which is this Braille keyboard, as our first product. So basically this Braille keyboard would be like a cover that you would put on top of a laptop, and it would have Braille keys for each key on the computer, and the blind people could type. And through this, they'd be able to understand and be much more efficient when typing, like in the workplace, for example. You might know that in banks sometimes they employ blind people, and they have these text-to-speech features on their keyboard, which allow them to basically write down stuff. But it's a bit inefficient as it's slow, and after very long essays, if you're trying to write a very long piece of work, it'll take a long time, and there's a lot of room for error. But through this, since blind people can already use Braille and understand it, they'll be able to write much more efficiently and are much more effective in the workplace. Here's another close-up model of the keyboard. So basically, we conducted a lot of data research. Me and him have created extensive research and documentation on blind people, and we found out that globally there's around 200 million blind people. And with blind, I don't mean visually impaired. Visually impaired is anybody with glasses or with contacts. Blind is people who genuinely cannot see, like their world is darkness. And there's around 5 million of those in India, which is a huge market. And of those, 2 million are already here in UP. And we found that in Delhi and NCR region alone, there's around 10,000 blind students studying in blind schools. So those would be our first target audience, as we could use the school's CAS initiative, Service and Action Initiative, and the student body as volunteers to help push our product to these schools and help the students learn. We could, for example, contact the Blind Delhi Relief Association School, which is one of the most popular and renowned blind schools in the Delhi NCR region, and other schools such as this, and we could sell our keyboards for a lower price, maybe of 300 rupees, to the students. We could give a few samples out, and we could have them test the product and analyze it to see if it's working. Furthermore, we ask for 50,000 as an investment for 10% equity of our company. And our plan for this money is to split 25,000 for it for patent. This is because although our product is pretty good, it's kind of easy to copy. So we wouldn't want other companies copying our idea and redoing it for a cheaper price. So this is why, first things first, we go for a patent, and we take the other half of the money to use it for production in our factories, you could say. And this production is split up in this pie chart here. So it looks like a lot, but 2,000, so the main cost would be to distribution. So this would be for warehousing, and this would be for selling on the market, and for buyers to basically sell our product and give it out. Furthermore, the labor cost would be 500. So at first, this is basically the chart for the beginning of the product's journey. So around 500, because we would do most of the labor work ourselves. We would be going out, we'd be renting the 3D printers, we would be the ones going on social media and posting about it. And 1,000 for the raw material, which is the filament that we use for the 3D printer. And we've calculated that one 3D printer costs around 1,000 per day. And one 3D printer can produce 20 to 25 keyboards in a day. And the filament precisely also produces 20 to 25 keyboards per day. So this means that we have a guaranteed production of keyboards using just one printer for such a low cost, 2,000 for around 25 keyboards. And this also means that our product would be sold for around 1,500, which compared to market research that we've conducted, the average cost of an extra keyboard that they use for Braille is around 12,000 rupees. And most people cannot afford this financial burden. So our keyboard only being 1,500 would greatly, basically allow more production and allow for more buying of it, as it would become more popular and widespread. Actually, in fact, I would like one of the judges, if you would like to come up here, to test the product here. So this is a prototype that we've built. So as you can see, wait a minute. We've created there's these silicone covers that you can use to protect your computer from dust. It would look a bit like this, but you'd have the Braille keys on top too. So, if you mind putting on the blindfold to simulate how the blind person would use it. They would have the keys here in place. And if you run your hand on this one, yes, exactly. If you run your hand here, you can feel how the keyboard would feel like. And the blind person would use these keys to type on the computer, in addition with other methods of assisting blind people, such as text-to-speech. This product is not aimed to eliminate any other method of assisting blind people. This product is aimed to be in companionship with everyone. Because in the end, yes, we're trying to make a profit, but we're also trying to genuinely help the people who are in need. These blind people really need assistance with this. We want to make their lives better. So this is kind of how it would look like in the real life scenario. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you all have a great day and all the best.
What's your good name? I'm sorry, I can't name it.
My name is Julian Foucault.
Julian, you're based from which place?
My dad is French, he's right there, and my mom is Indian.
Oh, great. So, Julian, first of all, great concept, and at a broader level, you are in class?
I'm in 9th grade.
9th grade. So, a 9th grade student putting in that much effort and having that much clarity is great.
Thank you.
And I like very much the confidence that you showed. At an overall level, at a basic level, the kind of market research that you have done is, which pretty much resonates with what typical entrepreneurs do. So I am an entrepreneur myself. I run India's biggest warehousing and fulfillment platform, so I have a fair understanding of it. So this will be more towards the question come feedback, which is there. So why aren't you evaluating a methodology? For example, I was going to suggest you that, for example, this is a silicon kind of layer which is there.
Yeah.
You can get it embossed, the typical Braille scripts there, the characters there. Then you can create a software solution which acts as a keyboard alternative, so you don't have to have additional keyboards at all, because that is a cost expensive process and not everyone can buy it. But if you have got this additional, you can say, layer or accessory over existing keyboards, where you work on the similar concept, it's a embossing which is done, which can be kept over there. You create a software solution so that at one instance they are able to select the keyboard type, because for example there are multilingual keyboards, etc.
Exactly.
And they are able to map that. Then then it becomes a product which can be, say, used by millions of people, and it can be very reasonably priced, and it can be monetized easily also. And for that you will get grants from multiple people. 25 to 50,000, what you have said, probably, of course, I understand being at 9th grade, the unit economics might not be the best of your interest. Of course, you can reach out to me, I'll assist you with every broader details and maybe connect you with people who can give you grants, etc. If you're really wanting to, if it's not an academic exercise, you are really wanting to take it forward, I fortunately I live nearby, walking distance from here. One thing is, with respect to, you talked about using 3D printers in order to build those keyboards.
Yes.
But the keyboard have a mechanical infrastructure inside it.
Well, no, because that's the thing. The other keyboards that are sold on the market, these are extensions. So as you can imagine, this is like an extension keyboard that's added onto this. But
Yes.
ours is just going to be this cover. And the thing
Okay.
is, what we can have in our website, we can have this feature, we can have like an algorithm where you basically give the specific keyboard that you have. You can make a generalized keyboard cover. This is a generalized keyboard cover. It works on all
Got it.
MacBooks.
So I'm sorry, maybe I joined in late, so I didn't understand the product. Because this is what I wanted to say. It needs to be an extension. It's not a keyboard per se. It's like a skin which
Yeah,
has
yeah.
got the debossing in it, and then you have got a software part which
Sure,
which,
yeah.
which does the mapping, so that it can be used in, typically it can be used in any standard keyboard per se.
Yeah, exactly. We would have that on our website. You just type in what keyboard you have, and we can also have a feature where you have generalized keyboard covers and specific keyboard covers. So if you had, for example, like a gaming keyboard, those are very specific. Those are not made by any large companies like Lenovo, Windows, or Mac. Those are specific. We can have a feature where an algorithm analyzes models that already exist online, and they create keyboard covers for
So
those.
typically, first of all, you don't need to solve for everything. You need to solve for the standard keyboard.
Yeah, for
So-
sure.
So the standard keyboard would be 80% of the market.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is big enough.
Yeah.
Of course, being very specific with respect to the gaming keyboards, the market would be too small, the cost of development, production, keeping inventory would be too high. So at a broader level, now I got the concept of it, and I don't know whether you require a 3D printer for it. Have you done a prototype for it?
Yeah, we've tried to do a prototype. It's worked a little bit, but the 3D printer in the school didn't work. So
If you need any assistance with, some of my friends have 3D printers, you build a file for it, I'll ask them
Sure.
to.
we have that file.
Probably, I mean, you can show it to me later, and I'll send it to them and try see if it
Yeah.
works. Because if you are talking about the 3D printer concept, at least you need to do one prototype to understand whether it really works
Exactly,
or
yeah.
not. Typically, it should work, but still, unless and until you do it, you never know.
Yeah.
So at a broader level, yeah, great job.
Thank you
Yes,
so
I
much.
mean, it needs some work, but the overall thing is, I believe that in order to start up anything, either you should have passion or you should have skill set. So if you've got passion, you'll learn the skill set which is required to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I see that energy in you, and I see that vigor in you, and great job.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Keep up.
Hey, Julian. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Julian. Hello. IT. Hello. You can hear me.
Yeah.
Julian, good attempt. But let me take a step back and ask a very basic question. You know, you've designed a product for our eyes. You named it as your company is for our eyes. In the digital world, where blind person, or in fact person with vision of 6 also, doesn't need to type anything, right? Do you really see a need? Because I know I have a very good network of 100% blind people. I've worked with them. They just talk, right? And when you were having one of what's your name? Arun from Think Startup. Welcome to Prometheus. My name is Mukesh, by the way. I'm the founder chairperson of Prometheus School. When you had him, look at the product, even if he types with blindfolded, he types in, he won't understand what is being typed, right? So he needs to have a headphone with the screen reader on to be able to understand what is being typed, right? So demo, you should, again, keep that in mind. I personally feel that this product would not make much sense in the market, even though you've done research. But given where we are in terms of technology today, people do not prefer typing. I mean, if you pick up any product, let's say ChatGPT, there is voice to text, right? And the individual who's blind would speak something, and then it's basically giving instructions. So speech to text conversion is already happening. So what purpose would this braille keyboard serve?
So basically, like I previously mentioned, this text-to-speech, at times it's quite inefficient. For shorter like communication, like if you were trying to have a conversation, or like a short conversation over text, of course text-to-speech is the way to go. But generally speaking, over very long essays, if you need to write a long report, which is very common in the modern world, I mean, most people need to write very long stuff on their computers. Text-to-speech can be, first, very tiring for the person themselves, and secondly, it would be very difficult due to the errors that are possible. So text-to-speech technology is not yet that advanced that it can perfectly capture everything that the person is saying. So this keyboard, like I said, would not really be there to replace the text-to-speech. It would be there with the text-to-speech, because this would allow it to be much more
So
efficient.
it will be more like good to have, because all that you are saying are your version. I mean, if you were to put in your presentation that here is our conversation, or the survey that we did with blind people, out of 5 million blinds in India, you said 2 million in UP alone, right? And I could introduce you to 20 in Noida, and you could have taken the feedback directly from them, that would you prefer to have a keyboard versus text to speech, speech to text, right?
But
And, yeah, go ahead.
on the other hand, I feel like there's still quite a lot of blind people, as blind is quite often not like a singular illness that someone has. Very often I've seen that there's blind people that are unable to communicate verbally. So they have a lot of issues verbally communicating. So this product would allow them to bypass this issue, because text-to-speech obviously wouldn't work on them if they're not able to properly use verbal cues, right? So this product would be a great assistance to them. Of course, this is just some specific examples, but generally speaking, this would allow such events to happen.
Good. So again, good start, but it needs a lot of research. Okay, for a student of grade 9th, I think it's a good beginning. But I personally, if you ask me, it's in a very nascent stage. And if I were to say, I'm giving you 5 lakh rupees, make it a success. I know the customers also. These customers will not buy your product, even if you put the cost of 500 rupees, right? So that testing also has to be done. Are people going to be interested in buying it? Are you solving their problem, or are you perceiving it as a problem for them?
That's why we can test it on the school. Like I previously mentioned, we can test it on local schools, blind schools in the Delhi NCR region. We can go over there and give them samples.
Going there would be after you've created, multiple, right? So initial stages, when you are kind of validating your idea, you work with maybe 4 or 5 blind people, right, of different ages. Who's your target customers? Students. Obviously, students would not be. I mean, if you tell me students, then they are not going to buy it. You'll have to find a way to get to their parents, right?
Yeah, but the parents would help their students. If they found this product very useful, obviously they would purchase this for the student.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Julian.
you.
Let's welcome our group 2, Arika, Avni,